Hi everyone, this is Allison Bunnell, the technology trainer for Fitchburg State University. Today's session is about Gmail, specifically the settings and features you should look for within your Gmail. Since Fitchburg State University moved over to Gmail, including all of Google's tools, 2 years ago, it made sense to take a minute and look through some of those settings and specifically some of the brand new features that Gmail offers. Keeping in mind, how can we make our day easier, more efficient, and streamline our email at the same time? So in the next few minutes, we're going to go through some settings and features, and hopefully you've got a better idea of how to best use your email to make your day more efficient. As you should know at this point, in your Gmail, at the top right, you have a gear icon, which is the settings menu. Along with that, you have a variety of other icons. But within your settings, you can go ahead and make a variety of changes to make it feel and look the way you're most comfortable. And seeing most of you are probably using it on a daily basis, you've been living in it for quite some time. But you might not know there are other ways that you can go ahead and live within your Gmail, and you might want to try those out. And keep in mind that whatever changes you make now or going forward within your Gmail settings, you can always change back. So if you want to try it out, see what it looks like and feels like, you can do that and always go back to the way you're working with it now. So don't feel worried about making a change because you can always change back. But if you don't give it a try, you might not realize how much more you can get out of your Gmail without trying. One of the big ones that we talk about is the undo send. While we don't have recall as Gmail settings, by default, you are going to be given 5 seconds, but you can change that all the way to 30. Certainly, that's not the hours that some of us might need, but within 30 seconds, that gives you the time to say, oh, I forgot that attachment, or I might have CC'd someone that I didn't want to. And you can go ahead and undo your message within those 30 seconds. So I would recommend that if you haven't already, to go into your settings gear icon and go down to the undo send option and select 30 seconds. What that means is that every time you send an email, you'll get a box like the one down below here, and it will sit there for 30 seconds. You probably won't notice it most of the time because you'll be good with it. But in those rare occasions within those 30 seconds that you realize you wanted to attach something or send it to another person or so forth, you can actually press undo and it will launch your email back into your screen, and you can make any edits, delete it, draft, so forth. So go ahead and do that. It will only give you that extra 30 seconds to make any changes and have an opportunity to unsend your email. Well, that's one that has been around for a while. Another that we might not use very often is Smart Reply. So that's the idea of replying to an email, and Google will automatically give me some quick automatic responses that I can use. Takes a couple of seconds off of my to-do list, and it lets me just send off a quick automatic message that still seems appropriate to the response. So in this case, question about Google Classroom, my response can be, that would be great, thank you. And I press that and press send, and I'm good to go. I haven't had to write any particular message as well. So it's something to keep in mind. And if you want to employ Smart Reply as an option, you do need to elect that within your settings as well. So we can look at that. And other options that are really important to keep in mind are those that can make your inbox cleaner and again, allow for you to be more efficient throughout the day. So I am one of those people that likes those ideas and options. And most people come to me and ask, how can I clean out my inbox? What can Google do for me? And one of those options is nudges. So nudges is the idea that with your older emails, Gmail is going to say something along the lines of, hey, you know what, you haven't responded to this in quite some time, and it will move it to the top of your inbox with a suggestion for you to reply or to follow up. So it's a great way to kind of keep on top of items, things that might get at the bottom of your inbox. And, it's certainly not going to hurt. It'll just give you a little bit of a nudge and a reminder. And if you'd like to employ those, you can go ahead under your settings again, and you'll see an option for nudges. So a great automated option for Google to let you know, hey, you received this 3 days ago. Do you want to reply? And maybe not. Or maybe you would. So that's one great option to keep in mind as well. With that same idea in mind, one of my most favorite features is the snooze button. Within your Gmail, while you might use nudges to remind you of emails you might not have replied to quite yet or have been sitting around for a little bit of time, you can also use snooze effectively in the sense of you get emails in, and while they're important to you and you do want to respond to them or look at them more detailed, maybe at that particular moment you don't want to. So I like to keep my inbox clean as a place for only those items in which I still need to do something about. So either I have archived or deleted an email, or I have moved it into a label, or lastly, I have snoozed it. And what snooze does, again, it's that idea of saying, I have this email, it's really important to me, but I don't need to look back at this for another week. So rather than possibly lose it within my email inbox or delete it or do something I don't want to, I can snooze it. And so that is the idea of the little clock icon to the right of your options within an email. When I select that, I'm snoozing it. It moves it, Google will move it out of my inbox and it will put it under a label called snooze. I will not see it until and unless I have asked Google to. So for me, I can press the snooze button and it will give me some customized options. And then I can go in and actually pick a very specific time or date that I want it to remind me. So essentially I'm going to press snooze for a particular date. And on that date, let's say 8 o'clock on Monday morning, this email will now appear right away at that time in my inbox, and it will show that I had snoozed it. So what's great for me is that I don't have to worry about going back to that email or getting lost amongst other things, or certainly being deleted. So if you're not deleting or archiving it, you can snooze it, knowing it's something you want to get back to. And so that's a great tool to get it back into your inbox in a certain time and allows you to work on it at that point. And so at any point, if you realize, oh, you know what, I already got to that task that was in the email, or I just want to look at that again, you can go to the label that's called snooze within all of your other Gmail system labels. So that's one of my favorite ones as well. Another one to remember is your schedule send. Save time, make your life easier if it's possible. If you have a flyer or an event or something that is important to you to get out, but maybe you don't want to do it right at that moment because it's lunchtime, or it's the middle of the night if you're a light sleeper and you have something on your mind. This gives you the ability to write an email like my greatest email and yet send it at a particular time and day. So if, again, in my perspective, I tend to create different emails based on trainings, and I don't want them to all go out at the same time, but I may have time to create them all at the same time. So in that case, I can schedule send, and so that could be found after you are done drafting your email. To the right of the send button, you'll see a little arrow. Once you press that, you'll have an ability to have some pre-populated choices, or again, you can customize it to pick the particular date and time that you want this email to be sent out. So once you get in the habit of using that, you will find that it is a great solution to getting ideas off of your mind and getting it down on your email, but getting it out when you want it to go out. This is an easy tool to use, and some of you might already be using it. This is really great to use for those email for your department that you don't use every day, meaning that you can actually create a filter that would say, I would like all of these emails that come from a particular address to do certain things. Meaning I could get emails from information technology and ask that they're all moved to a particular label. So instead of getting them all into my inbox and then me physically moving them, I could just have them all moved into a particular label. Or if you know it's some sort of an email, like a spam or something you're not interested in, you could put the email address that comes from and ask Google that they delete all of the emails from there. The nice thing about creating filters, especially for emails you do want to read, is that it makes it so your inbox is not cluttered. It allows you to still get to that email. So some of my colleagues have wonderful reports that they receive from different equipment. And while they do need to see those and review them, they don't do it every minute of the day. So they may want a filter created so that these particular reports are put under a label, possibly called reports. And then maybe on a given day or time, these people go through that label and look at those emails. So again, you haven't lost them. They're in a particular place. Maybe you've created a task to remind yourself to go look at those emails, but you didn't have to move them physically. You don't have to go in every time. And it also keeps your inbox cleaner and more manageable. So take a look at some of the filter ideas that are possible. And just be careful when you're in there that you're putting in the exact email address. Some of the listserv emails can be a little bit lengthy, so make sure you're copying and pasting those in there correctly, and you're doing however you'd like Google to, what you'd like them to do with these emails. So take a peek at that. Super easy way to unclutter your email inbox. Similar to using nudges or snooze as a way for Google to help you keep your inbox organized, there is the idea of using important markers. And what Google does here is that they use the artificial intelligence to keep an eye on how you interact with your inbox. And so they create some signals based on who you email, how often you email them, which emails you choose to reply to, and they take some of that information into account and they decide what they think your important emails might be. So with all of this information that they capture from your working within your inbox, they will actually put a little yellow marker next to emails that they think, based on what you've done in your inbox, to be important to you. And so they will mark it for you, and it will help you to keep track of what might want to stick out for you. This is coming from someone that you consistently email, or what appears to be important to how you work within your inbox. So again, it's just another way that Google can do some of the work for you. It's what you'd want to do after that, but it can mark it for you and let you know that this might be important. If this is something that you're interested in, it's another setting that you just need to turn on within your Google or your Gmail settings. Another thing to keep in mind is using templates. So for some of us, you might just write emails on a daily basis. They're all kind of the same. But there are definitely some departments around here that use emails in all different ways. So whether that's emailing about a particular event, or signing up for an open house, or some other type of occasion that you are consistently writing the same information, you can use an email template. What that means is you can create a whole email based on maybe your office hours or your open house. And now every time someone writes to you regarding that, or you need to email something out regarding that information, you don't have to retype it every time or find it and copy and paste it. Instead, you can create a template. So once you draft your email, you can go over to the 3 vertical dots to the right of your compose email box, and you'll see a few options, and one of them is templates. You can either choose to save the draft that you're creating as a template, or you can insert any of the templates you've already created. So had you not created a template yet, you would save this draft as a template, and then going forward, anytime at that point that somebody wants to be responded to that is regarding something in a template, so an open house, you can just go over to the 3 vertical dots, press templates, and select the appropriate template you would like to respond with. And now you've saved yourself a host of time because you already have the information written down. It's the way you want it to look. And maybe it's now the template just needs to be edited from now and then. If it's an open house from this year to next year or what have you. I'm sure you can think of other ways that templates could be useful in saving you time in responding to or sending out emails. So don't forget, those exist and can totally be customized by you just using those 3 dots at the bottom of your composed email. If you do want to use templates, you will need to select those within the Advanced tab under your settings in Gmail. And then another fun one is the idea of theme. So if you don't like the stark white background in your Gmail inbox, or you just want something different, want to change it up, there is the ability to customize your Gmail using a theme. You can find that under the quick box in your gear settings icon. And there's also a tab within your full settings page that lets you change, pick a theme that Google gives you. So there's a variety of options, or you can upload your own photo as well. So something to keep in mind if that's helpful for your eyes or just for changing up the look of your Gmail theme. Our next tip is based on if you're someone that uses chat and or Google Meet within your Gmail. So gone are the days that you need to open a whole new tab or get in and out of your inbox to see your Google Chat or to have a Google Meet with someone. It's all built in your Gmail now, should you choose. So if you don't see it and you want it there, you will need to go to your settings in Gmail and just select to have Chat and Meet open or available in your inbox. But in addition to that, if you love having it on the left side, you can actually move your Chat and Meet box to the right side. If you're someone that uses calendar and the other inputs, that might be a little bit tricky. But one of the reasons I like moving it to the right side of my inbox is it allows for all of my labels to no longer be smushed, and instead they are one long line that I can scroll through. So give it a try, see if you like it on the right side. But I think most people are unaware that you can actually use the settings in your Gmail to have this move to the other side of your screen. So give it a try. And then lastly, although I'm sure there's more, the last one I want to talk about is marking your emails as unread. So as you can see in this picture, you have in your settings menu, you have a variety of tabs and options, but you can choose to view your unread messages first in your inbox. So you can choose to set up your inbox a little bit differently. So rather than have all of your messages filter in time and date accordingly, you can have it so that you have your unread messages first and then everything else after that. It kind of sections your inbox for you should you choose. Now that we've looked at the different features and settings that you should consider to make your inbox a little bit more streamlined and efficient, I want to take a peek at where to find those settings and how it looks. So in my inbox at the top right, I have my gear icon, which is my settings menu. When I select that, I get these quick settings. So if you just want to make a quick change, you can do that here. If you're not sure, just go here to see all settings, and this will open up the entire settings menu that's available to you. And when you do that, you can see that you can see all of the settings we started to talk about. So I've got this general label. So in here is where you want to check to see if you have your cancellation, your undo send selected to 30 seconds. You can select your default text style, amongst other things that you can go through if you're interested in turning on any spelling or grammar checks. And we talked about the conversation mode is one thing I didn't mention, but I want to remind you again, Conversation mode is nice if you like it. I tend to recommend against it unless you have a really compelling reason. Let me tell you why. Conversation mode or view allows for you to see everyone's replies in one email. So I respond to you, you respond back to me. But if you ever notice, the conversation gets a little funny looking and it's hard to follow who's saying what when. In addition, the biggest concern I have is that when you go to search for this particular email or strand, it's virtually impossible to find because all of the conversation is embedded, and for whatever reason, the search doesn't work very well. So unless you really want it, I suggest keeping your conversation view off and instead, delete the older emails in that reply chain and keep the newest one, because the newest one will always have all of the responses in there anyway. Here you could turn on your nudges, as we talked about, and smart reply. If you want a preview pane, as I do, you can turn that on as well, and so on and so forth. Your desktop notifications, and if you want to use stars, so using stars is just, again, another way to maybe capitalize on an organization method for yourself, starring things, color coding them, and so forth. Another one to consider is these button labels. So by default, all of the buttons or icons will have will just be a little icon. But if you, instead of wanting to see the little envelope with a arrow for the archive, you can make it text. So now you can see what all of them are instead of icons. So something to put on if you're more comfortable with that. And so you can continue on. These are the general settings that we've talked about versus some additional ones. And then you see these other tabs up here. You have your labels. Labels are a big one. You can see I have a ton on the left. Labels are a great option. They are not folders, but they are the idea of labeling something and being able to find it a little bit more effectively. If you don't have your snooze label, you want to make sure you go over here and press show. Okay. If you're somebody that stars, then you want to show the starred. I do not have my labels showing for starred, and so forth. And also, just to remind you, if you're looking for an email that you've archived, that would be in all mail. You can find all of your mail there in the sense of date and time, chronological order. So you can create additional labels as you go, edit them, show them, hide them as well. So if there's a label that you've created, you want to keep it the way it is, but maybe take it out of your view over here, you can go ahead and hide it and then unhide it should you want. In your inbox, another option that I sometimes forget about because I don't use it is categories. So if you get a lot of social media email or promotions, things along those lines, you can have Google set up your inbox so that it is in categories. So if you hover here, it'll tell you some of what would fall under these categories for me. And I could choose to maybe just do social and updates. So if that would be helpful to you, feel free to check those and enable those as well. Talked about reading pane. And then here is where you would check for those important markers. Do you want to allow Google to use kind of your actions within your inbox to predict what might be important to you? And then with that, they could go ahead and show you that little yellow marker. And then you have additional accounts and then filters. We talked about filters. So you can do a variety of things. I'm on a listserv that has generally 20,000 emails. I like to have them all moved into my particular label because I like to search under that label at times if I'm looking for something in particular. There's tips, there's information, what have you. So you can create a filter for a variety of reasons, and it's really great. So you would just go here to create a new filter. You can either copy and paste a specific email, but if you wanted it to be just from a particular person, maybe you could do that as well. So I could put somebody in here, and the more information you put in here, the more specific it's going to get. So if you just want to leave it general with somebody's email address, then you can press create filter and you can now tell Google what do you want Google to do every time one of these an email from this particular person comes in? Do I want to just archive it, which means I can search for it later? It's not deleted forever, but it's going to skip my inbox altogether. Okay. Do I want to star it a certain way? Do I just want to have it kind of moved under a label and then I can look for it later? Do I want to maybe send a template and respond to it in a certain way? Okay, or categorize it. There's a lot you can do with creating a filter, and you can imagine if you do this for a variety of different email accounts that you're getting, you could clean up your inbox pretty easily. So if you wanted to do your filters, again, that's just under the filters and blocked addresses tab within your settings. Forwarding is if you want to forward your email. And then the chat and meet we talked about, if you want to have Google Chat on or off, that's here. If you want to move the chat position, you can see on my left side, I have this long list that I can easily go through now of all my labels. And then on the right side, I have my chat and meet. And if I wanted to move this back to the left side, I would just have to select it here. Okay, if you don't want any of these on, you can select off as well. And then in advanced, you do want to check here. Again, if you want to use templates, you do need to enable it just this one time to get it available to yourself. And if you also wanted to have the unread messages icon. So, take a peek, see if those feel comfortable to you and if they help you. And then themes, we talked about if you wanted to set your theme, again, it will give pre-populate a variety of options for you. Or you can just select a color, or you can upload your own photo from here as well. So there's some options there. So those are all within your settings gear in your Gmail. So I hope that you found this helpful. Know that was a very quick overview of your inbox, but there are some really great features that you should consider looking into. And the more you use them, I think you will find that your inbox can be fairly organized on a consistent basis. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and thank you for taking the time to watch this. Take care.